The 757th edition of the MMA Gambling Podcast on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Sign up with promo code MMA SGPN to get a 50% deposit bonus of up to $1,000. And we're brought to you by Edge Boost. Earn up to $750 per month on your sports gambling transactions. Just go to edgeboost.bet and use promo code SGPN. And finally, we're brought to you by Rhythm, the leader in data-driven picks and props. Get your 7-day free trial today by going to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/RITHMM.
Heidi ho, degenerados. Welcome to episode 757 of the MMA Gambling Podcast, the Sports Gambling Podcast Network, dedicated to D Flocka 23. I don't remember seeing D Flocka in our Discord before, but D Flocka apparently he's been a member for a while. D Flocka hit a big parlay last night. Did D Flocka? Yeah, he took all our plays too. So yeah, it was thanks to us. So this goes out to D Flocka. Thanks everyone for coming to the show. I am your host, Slava Fox, episode 757, the MMA Gambling Podcast. It is all about Aries. We're going to France. Aries FC 29 is going down this weekend. Aries running quite frequently now, so we are covering them quite frequently as well. So we'll dive into that very, very soon. Actually, before that, maybe I will. There's UFC 312 was. It had two fights that mattered. Two fights that mattered.
We don't have to recap that. We'll talk about that on Wednesday.
We're not going to recap the whole thing, but Dreykus is still a weirdo. Still probably not a good fighter. Sean Strickland still.
Sean Strickland is volume only, and still that doesn't
big
matter.
Talker. He fights
Weili Zhang's stronger than we thought she was.
Yeah, Weili Zhang's way better.
We already thought she was strong. Yeah, I don't know.
Sean Strickland, the person, would hate Sean Strickland, the fighter, because he fights.
Yes, correct.
A coward, and pity pat and run us away, and yeah. So I beat Gumby, which is the key as well. 6-6. We both neither of us did very well. So there's your recap. UFC 312, and really, there's not much more. Really, who cares about Telson, Teixeira, or all those other fights? So
I don't know. Jimmy Crute looked pretty good, and I told you not to write.
He did first return.
I thought he won that fight too.
Was he always so bricked up? He's massive now. Was he always so massive?
That's a word that means multiple things.
He
always looks strong. If that's what you're saying.
Yes. All right. Let's talk about Aries. This is Gumby Vreeland, everyone. Everyone say hi. He's our regional MMA expert. Aries actually kicked you in the behind last time we covered.
Yeah,
right?
Aries 28.
Aries revenge.
Aries 28 was not kind to me. Dug us actually a very rare regional MMA haul for this show because we have been, I believe we're up 20-something units in 2023, up 50 units in 2024. And so to be out the gate looking not great in regional MMA was scary. But we did rebound. We had a 4-unit weekend this weekend to get us up into like +3 units on the year. So that put us back in the black. And now I feel like I got a pretty good beat on Aries here. So maybe we'll fix what we wronged.
Yeah, no odds yet, but Gummy will give you his best guesstimate on that. Before we dive into it, just reminding you, we missed. You probably missed out by the time you hear this. So, Bossy just got done running a squares contest for the Super Bowl. Tons of Super Bowl coverage, but this is just a reminder. Always make sure you listen to the Mothership Podcast, Sports Gambling Podcast. Make sure you're always checking out sportsgamblingpodcast.com because that's where we put out all our contests and all the good content and our giveaways. And even easier, the app. All those things I just mentioned are on our app, SGPN, in the App Store. And then you won't miss out. You won't have FOMO. You can win $1,000 from the bosses. All right. Aries FC 29, as we said, Paris, France. Perhaps you've heard of it. February the 14th, which is this coming Friday. 1 p.m. Eastern. So this is a Degen special. Friday afternoon when you're supposed to be working, assuming you have a job other than gambling and watching fights, then this is the Degen special for you. We've got 12 fights listed on the card. Gumby has picked up 5 that he's wants to give you full breakdowns on, and then we will have a lightning round with plenty to choose from. If you've watched the show before, listened to the show before, there will be some familiar names on this here card, including our first fight. We're starting with a female fight, women's flyweight, Alexandra Tekenah. We have spoken of her before. her of the amazing Tapology thumbnail photo, her mean mugging versus Sabrina Oliveira. So we got France versus Brazil, 3 5-minute rounds, 125. We haven't talked about Oliveira before, I don't think so. Her name is Demetrio, which I think translates to Demetrius. Why is her last name? Why is her nickname Demetrius, Gumby?
I don't know. And also, we definitely never talked about. I feel like we've talked about her.
Have we talked about her before? Maybe.
Have I mentioned Demetrio before? Like a lot of high profile LFA fights that I feel like maybe we would have covered. Maybe just like lightning round or something like that. But I feel like she's come up.
All right, cool. I think my new thing also will be to name the full name for every Brazilian fighter. Sabrina Oliveira de Conceição. There's always a de something at the end of these names. And then Demetrio. So she probably just goes by Sabrina Demetrio, I'm guessing, right?
No, I mean I'm pretty sure it's Oliveira. I've never heard the Demetrio used. There's another one we'll talk about this week that pretty much just uses his nickname, but not on this show today.
The names are fluid in Brazil. All right, Demetrio Oliveira is 7-4, 3 knockouts, 2 submissions. She's never been finished in a fight. This is her debut. Win over her last 3, 3-4 over her last 7. Won her last 5 via TKO. Multiple region championships on her.
Mantle.
Correct. Get the shirt. sportsgamblingpodcast.com/store. Probably big game. That code might still work. I think the bosses tend to keep the codes going for a little past the deadline. So try big game when you check out. You get 15% off. We got some really cool hats in there. Now, I feel like John Anik doing an ad right in the middle of the action. Like he does Toyo tires right in the middle of,
core nuts, corn to the core.
Someone's about to get knocked out, and all of a sudden the professional's in there. All right. She used to fight. Oliveira used to fight at 115, 10 years younger than Tekenah. Tekenah is l'animal. I don't know what that possibly could mean. 5-2 with 3 knockouts. Wait a minute. I know French. That means the animal. 5-2, 3 knockouts. She's been submitted twice, so finished in both her losses. 5-2 in Aries, so she's fought all her fights in this promotion. 3-1 over her last 4, but she did get submitted in her last fight. That was the fight we covered. I think you picked her as well. Boy, I'm bearing you right off the top. I realized
she looked great in that fight, right until she just decided to give up her back and let somebody choke her.
Yeah, like it was like 2 inches overall of her. So yeah, I'm done. Yeah, I realized. I'm sorry. I told everyone how bad you did at Aries right off the bat. Now I told you.
Somebody in the comments is ragging on you, saying that you look like a disappointed father every time I don't pick an underdog.
Really? I didn't see that. I'm sorry.
They're like, he just keeps getting mad every time he doesn't pick an underdog. Like he's got to pick some favorite.
Yes, I did see that. Yes. All right. I apologize. Gumby is as he laid out the stats to begin with. He's got a track record years long here, so it's a little blip. Aries.
Yeah. Well, and I'll give you what you want here because I'm gonna go underdog. I think Sabrina Oliveira probably gonna come in here like plus 250, plus 275, and I like Oliveira in this spot. And the reason being, so her striking isn't really crisp, but like she gets a little long with her arm punches, and her takedown defense lacks a little bit. But Tekenah isn't really the type of fighter who wants to go to the ground very much. You could see in her last fight, she kept it standing almost the whole time, and immediately as soon as she got to the ground, she got submitted. So Oliveira's takedown defense not great, but I do think like if this fight takes place on the feet, that length could really play up. Also, like I know her record looks terrible. The losses are incredible. Like her strength of schedule for somebody coming off the Brazilian regional scene is wild because her losses are to Gabby Fujimoto, who is like a top prospect in LFA, Alexia Thainara, who we talked about last week. She got a contract through the Contender Series. She lost to Lainey Silva, who just had one of the most incredible head kick KOs I've ever seen this past weekend. So like Oliveira has fought a lot of people, and she hung in there with Silva for 15 minutes, and she hung in there with Thainara and like had her moments on the feet with Thainara. Now, granted, Thainara out wrestled her and like pinned her down, but like when she was on the feet, she tagged Thainara when she was coming forward. And I think all of those people she had some success against, and like I think all of them are infinitely better than Tekenah here. So I'm gonna go with Sabrina Oliveira. I think hopefully that length carries up, and Tekenah is somebody who tends to have like a mental lapse and give a fight away. I'm hoping Oliveira can take advantage of that.
Gumby had Lanny Silva for the record. I thought I have to build you back up now. I broke you down.
She was so good.
Was she a dog, or it was pretty? The odds were close.
Right? Negative 115 when it posted on both sides. So that was basically even money. I thought she was going to be a dog. She came in even money, and I was like, that's still fine. She's going to kick her.
she was thinking about following up, and then she ended up just like walking past the body of her victim. So yeah, it was a a viral knockout if you haven't seen it already. Lany Silva, check it out. The Tekenah, 88% of the gens at Topology are in on her, so hopefully you get a good line on Oliveira. That means. All right, moving on up the fight card. We're going off the fight card. If people are following along on Topology or something, we're going off fight card on Aries. Aries fight card, I assume, is more up to date than Topology since they're the actual promotion. So it doesn't really matter. We're covering the 5 fights regardless of what order they're in. We got a Russian fighter next. Ramazan Mustafaev versus Luciano Contini. Just like LFA, we got Russia versus Brazil. How did the Russians do at LFA? I was totally out of the loop with LFA this past week.
1-1-1.
Okay.
There was
so
one
push.
One of the ones I picked to win won. One of the ones I picked to lose lost. So I got those two right. And then I picked the third one to lose, and he was winning really easily, but he posted on the Brazilian dude's throat and then threw ground and pound, and they called it a no contest for like illegal grasping of the windpipe.
Great.
And like he should have won. He should have just got ground and pound, but like why put your hand there? And that's what he did.
Oh, perfect. Was LFA profitable? No, I know we're on a tangent.
Yeah. Oh yeah. LFA was in a good spot. Yeah.
Awesome. All right.
We went 4-0-1 in LFA. So.
Beauty, just because of a throat grab. Throat grab will do you in every time. We'll tell you about the Brazilian fighter first in this welterweight matchup. Luciano Contini. He is 13-5, 7 knockouts, 4 submissions. He's been knocked out once, submitted 3 times. That's close enough to own his rounds. He owes his rounds. 0-1 in Aries, 1-3 over his last 4. He got submitted in his last fight. That was back in February of 2022. Next few episodes, we have quite a few fighters that have been sitting on the shelf for a while. Quite a. He's not won. Technically, he's not won since January 2022, but that is a fight that's flagged by Topology. It was against Douglas Lima too, which was interesting.
That's a different Douglas Lima, I think.
Yeah, I'm assuming it must be because it was in some promotion I never heard of. But yeah, that was flagged, so he's probably has not won for even longer than that. Regional champion over his career, 0-1 on the Ultimate Fighter. He was an Ultimate Fighter Brazil, so I won't even ask Gumby anything about him because
he lost to Leonardo Santos to get into the house in tough.
Santos won. I want to say
tough
season, didn't he?
Tough Brazil too.
Didn't Santos win that seaseason too?
Yeah.
Yeah, look at me. Look at this guy. Continues to fight at middleweight, 2009 Pro MMA debut. Mustafaev, 5-2, 8-2. Sorry, 8-2. 5 knockouts, 1 submission, submitted once, 1-1 Aries, 3-1 over his last 4. Got submitted in his last fight. He's fight at 155. 16 years younger than Contini, an inch of height over him. Yeah, 16 years, Gumby.
16 years younger. Contini's 42. And I'm gonna be honest, he looks like a 42-year-old when he's fighting lately. And I say lately, that was 3 years ago. He looked like a 42-year-old. And so, like, yeah, I mean, like, this should be one-way traffic. I'm guessing Mustafaev, like, this is probably one of the ones that'll post at like -550, and it'll be 4 figures by the time we're done with it. Mustafaev, like, and I know he's coming off of a submission loss. He had that fight won. He backed his opponent up, landed a very sharp 1-2 punch, had the guy woozy, dropped him, and then the bell rang. And then the second round came out and he got himself caught in a submission. So, Mustafaev, even with the recent loss, did look really good in that fight. He's not a traditional like Russian in the way that you're like expecting him to just be like all top game and heavy wrestling and stuff like that. He uses his wrestling more defensively. Like it's there and he could use it if he wanted to, but he uses it more defensively to try to set up some like 1-2s and stuff like that. And, he mixes it in to keep people guessing. But, I really like the hands on Mustafaev here. And yeah, Contini, I don't even know how to break him down. Like in all of the fights I've seen of him recently, it's like
old.
He looks slow on the feet like an old guy. He looks like he's got bad takedown defense because he's not as strong as the people he's fighting. And he's going to be fighting a dude who's, very strong and hits very hard. And I can't imagine this lasts very long.
97% Mustafaev. Yeah, a lot of people just want your picks. And so maybe we should just do one word breakdowns for people. Old, young,
old,
fast,
real,
slow. All right, before we move on, let's tell you about DraftKings. The ad read talks about the Super Bowl. You probably won't get this in time for the Super Bowl. Actually, maybe you can bet during the Super Bowl because there is that type of thing. But DraftKings Sportsbook is the official sports betting partner of Super Bowl 59. And they're not talking about just the little itty-bitty teeny tiny bowl. They're talking about Super Bowl LIX. So get in on the action at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of Super Bowl 59. Scoring touchdowns is key to hoisting the Vince Lombardi Trophy, and you have a shot to score big by betting on them at DraftKings Sportsbook, the #1 place to bet touchdowns. New DraftKings customers can bet $5 to get $200 in bonus bets instantly. I'm sure that will still be around even if the Super Bowl is not by the time you see or hear this. So download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use our code SGP. That will always be there as well. That's code SGP for new customers to get $200 in bonus bets instantly when you bet just $5 only on DraftKings Sportsbook. The crown is yours. Gumby, you have anything else to tell the people?
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPENY or text HOPENY 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly on behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas. 21 and over. Age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see dkng.co/audio.
There's that Ontario hate again. That's fine. That is fine. All right. So that is DraftKings. Thank you, Gumby, for being a professional again. Rhythm, SGPN's proud partner. Rhythm, I added the proud part. I'm sure they're proud. Is the #1 AI-powered sports betting platform that helps provide bettors of all levels the ability to build custom predictive betting models in seconds. Build your own model, copy one of the top performing models from the leaderboard, or have Rhythm build a model for you. NFL picks, NFL props, college basketball, and NBA. Rhythm has it all. Do they have Al Horford props? Damn right. Hopefully you didn't play Al Horford last night. I think you got 5 points. Maybe if you took over half a three-pointer, you would have higher than a half a three-pointer, you would have won. Anyhow, claim your 7-day free trial today by going to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/RITHMM. I should not talk fast through the actual code and the website name. All right, let's move on to some more winning picks, shall we? What are we moving on to now?
The animals.
Scott and Binate is what we're moving on to. Let's see. Louis Lee Scott from England. Youssouf Binate from Kenya. Is that what that flag is? Ivory Coast. Excusez-moi. 3 5-minute rounds. And 135. Bantamweight is weight class. I don't have a heck of a lot on both these guys. I'm sure Gumby does, though. Binate is 5-0. 4 knockouts, 1 submission. So he hosts his rounds. All those fights have taken place in Aries, so there's plenty of film on him, I'm sure. He's fed at 145, 4 inches height over Scott. Lightning, Scott, 8-0. Someone's losing their O here, or at least getting a draw or no contest. 5 knockouts, 1 submission, 1-0 in Aries. I think he's the current champ. Is that correct?
I don't think
it's confusing
so. I think
here.
they might have.
He was the champ.
He can't be the champ.
Yeah.
The main event is the championship fight.
That's right. But he didn't lose, so I don't. He's not. He was the champ. I think
he just got stripped because he was away or contract dispute or I'm not quite sure what. But yeah, there's a bantamweight title fight on this card.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Yeah, he was the champ, but he hasn't lost though, so he didn't lose it in the ring at the very least. 1-0 in PFL, 3 years younger than Binate.
I think Scott, being the former champ, and he beat DeMarte Pena too, who's like a pretty respectable name on this level. So I think he's going to be a pretty big favorite. We'll say like -250, maybe like +225 on the return for Binate. And I'm going to take Binate. I'm going to go underdog here. And I know that Scott was the champ and he has a good win over Pena. But the bottom line is just like, I really like the length of Binate. He's a guy who, he's 6 foot tall for bantamweight. It's weird as hell.
Yeah.
And his reach has got to be better than that too. He's so lanky. And he uses it really well, both in terms of like setting up a jab, but also like when somebody crashes into the clinch, the knees come to the body almost immediately. He does damage there. And like he's got kind of nice wrestling defense for a guy who's like as weirdly shaped as he is. And then when we look at Scott, like, again, Scott has fought a higher level of competition, so it's like easier to see holes when you see that. But I really like his striking. I like the speed on the feet. He switches stances a lot. He's got a good sense of range. But like that good sense of range only goes so far when you're fighting a guy who's poking at you with a broom handle, And that's kind of what's happening here. So I think some of the things he does best are not going to be there. And then in addition to that too, like, I don't necessarily love his power. I think his takedown defense lacks a little bit. And I think Binate might be able to take advantage of both of those things. So give it Binate here. Hopefully get a pretty sizable dog number on him too.
Binate by broom handle yes. Kill. Yes. Moving on up. We are on to scrolling. Co-main event, right? It looks that way. We're flying through the episode. Paulin Begai from France versus another Frenchman, Ilian Bouafia. 3 5-minute rounds, 205. Bouafia is the gorilla. His words, not mine. 5-0 with 5 knockouts, 2-0 in Aries. Used to fight at 185. So small resumes for these guys. Le Chat. We've talked about Le Chat before. I don't think we ever figured out what Le Chat was, did we?
He's the one who fought that guy with the big belly that he shook in the pre-fight video. Yeah, he's the one who knocked that guy out. He hit him in the belly with a knee, and it
perfect.
It
Mike Tyson punch-out style. Go after King Hippo's belly. 6-3 with 3 knockouts. He's been submitted once. 4-3 in Aries. 4-1 over his last 5. He won his last fight via TKO. That was a fight Gumby was just talking about. He hit him in the Band-Aid axe that the guy had on his belly, right?
That's correct. Yes.
Okay, that's all I got. You go ahead.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna go. First of all, I think this will be lined fairly close. I'm gonna say like Bouafia will be a slight favorite because of the undefeated record. The youth, he looks a little bit more like a light heavyweight you want to back. He's like ripped and in good shape. So I'm going to say him like negative 145, maybe like plus 120 on Begai. And I'm going to take Bouafia. I think the bottom line for me here is Begai looked kind of crappy in his last fight, fighting a guy who was pretty out of shape. Basically, that guy ran at him a couple of times, throwing wild overhand rights and hooks and stuff like that. And he just like backed up sort of scared up to the cage and got hit a couple of times, I would add, too. Now, granted, eventually he started just using his footwork and getting around it and, started lighting up his much shorter, much more stout opponent. But now he's going to be fighting a guy who's roughly his size and who comes forward at a much better clip. Now, I think Begai is probably the more technical striker. I think if you watch just like strike for strike, who looks better here? I think Begai looks better than Bouafia does. But Bouafia is a guy who he actually comes forward, and Begai is a fighter who struggles with that. So, like, even though I think he's like probably a touch behind in the striking, I do think Bouafia has like the footwork and the pressure that is going to give Begai the problems that he needs in order to pull this one off. So I like Bouafia. I also say I've seen him a little bit on the ground. I don't know that he likes to wrestle, but like sometimes he tags people and he gets like ground and pound finishes, or like he transitions between positions really nicely. Maybe just worth mentioning just in case like it gets there, because I think he might have an advantage over Begai, even though I doubt either really want to be there.
Okay, there you go. Before we get to our main event and our fancy dancy, actually the lightning round place, that's what we're doing. Edge Boost. SGPN is partnered up with Edge Boost, the premier Visa debit card for bettors. The Edge Boost card allows you to avoid the hassle of having your card denied at sportsbook, DFS site, sweepstake site, racetrack, or casino. Plus, you can earn up to $750 per month in cashback rewards for using the Edge Boost card. And you know your money is safe as the card is FDIC insured. Best part is no credit checks and is completely free. Set up today and use the promo code SGPN so you get better cashback rewards and instant tier 2 status. That's edgeboost.bet, promo code SGPN, edgeboost.bet, promo code SGPN. And Underdog, the big game is probably on right now. So you're hearing this. Underdog has you covered for that. New customers, if you get this in time, get a Travis Kelce free pick if they sign up before the game. Plus, Underdog's site-wide no-sweat entry token is live now. You can cash in your Underdog entry or you get bonus credit in return. Do you have a play? I won't ask you for a big game play like I have for weeks and weeks on end.
No. Hopefully by the time you're hearing this, all 5 of my big game plays. We got to go back to basketball. The Thunder are playing the lowly New Orleans Pelicans on Monday, rather. And Chet is back. They tapered him in the first game, which means we'll probably get a nice low projection on his points in the second game. And I think he should be back to full strength, playing like his usual self. So I'm going to take the higher than on Chet Holmgren's points against the quite pathetic New Orleans Pelicans.
They are very, very pathetic. And Chet Holmgren went to Gonzaga. So that's why Gumby is making the pick. Set up for the code MMASGPN and claim your special pick and first-time deposit offer up to $1,000 in bonus cash on underdogfantasy.com, promo code MMASGPN. The code is always working, even when the Super Bowl is over. So get in on that Chet Holmgren play. All right, go to our main event in Paris, France. I can tell you where it was. If you people want to go to it, it is at the Adidas Arena on Friday. Okay, there you go. Main event is for the FC Bantamweight Championship, as going to be mentioned earlier on. Aboubakar, Younousov, Maycon, Alcino. So we got Russia versus Brazil. 5-minute rounds, 135. Alcino, the challenger, is 13-6-1, 3 knockouts, 6 submissions. He's been knocked out once. He owes some finishes. This is his debut in Aries, stepping right into a title fight. He's won 3 straight and gone 5-0 with 1 no contest over his last 6. He's not lost since February 2023. Youssef at 155, an inch height over Younousov. Am I saying it right? Is it Younousov?
Younousov.
Younousov is Dikiy, Dikiy, which I think translates to wild. Do you know anything on that?
I do not.
It seems like
I did see that nickname when I was doing research and was hoping you were going to have to say it. So that
Dikiy. He's a wild Dikiy. He's 6-0 with 1 knockout, 2 submissions. He's 5-0 in Aries. He is the champ. He has defended his title once, even though the former champ never lost. Interesting. 2 years younger than Alcino.
Yeah, I think Youssef is going to be like a negative 300 favorite here. He's the champ. He's undefeated. He's looked pretty good in all of his fights. And I'm going to pick him here. I do think he's going to win. I am going to add a caveat to that, though, that I don't know if I would like him at negative 300. On one hand, super explosive wrestling. Does a really good job getting under his opponent's hips. I like his, like when he throws a 1-2 combination, looks kind of good. I like how risky he is on the ground, but also it like gives up position sometimes, which is one of the reasons I'm tentative. Like he gets after it on the mat, but like sometimes he takes the back and doesn't have any hooks in, and that's a problem. And I don't think Alcino is going to take advantage of any of that, but there are 2 things that like make me pause and say maybe I don't want him at negative 300 or negative 400 if he posts up there. Is like, first of all, Alcino could take advantage of those positions, right? Like if he goes to take the back, doesn't have the hooks in, falls off the top, you probably don't want Alcino on top of you. Like he does have some submission skills that you want to stay away from. And then number 2, I do think Alcino's maybe a little faster on the feet. And if you watch Youssef, like he's very light on the feet right up until he decides to throw. And then his feet might as well be stuck in cement. And like that gets him popped like a couple of times. And granted, he never woozy, never been out of it. But like, watch his last fight. In the first like 3 seconds of that fight, he plants his feet, throws a big right hand, and immediately takes a counter that like looks like it really tags him. And so like Alcino being faster and knowing that like Youssef maybe doesn't move his head as much as he should when that's happening, I think that's enough. So I'm going to go Youssef, but I am going to be cautious with that number.
All right. Let's give you a recap and we'll get you our Gumby's lightning round picks. He's got Youssef. He's got Bouafia. He has got Binate. He has got Mustafaev. And he's got Oliveira. All right. Lightning round. Zap, bam, boom, pow. Gumby, you got lots to choose from here.
Yeah, I got a couple here. I'm probably going to pick 2 that wind up being pretty wide odds here. The first one I'm going to take is Jean Du Silva, or Jean Du Santos, rather. Sorry, mixing up my Brazilian names. 7-0, absolute beast, getting kind of a gimme matchup. Maybe it winds up being like really ugly odds or something like that. But at the end of the day, like he could probably spruce up a parlay for you. And then next I'm going to take Mustafaev Ida. Sorry, easy for me to say. Mustafaev. Yeah, he's got a really nice record as well, but he's been kind of like unlucky in his losses. He's had a really tough strength of schedule, and kind of gotten like looked good in fights right up until he didn't in the few losses. So like maybe his record is bad enough that like maybe we get a decent number on him. But Mustafa Ida is another one who I would add as long as that number is respectable. So Jean Du Silva, Mustafa Ida.
All right, you are set. We've got more episodes coming up for you. Tomorrow, we've got more regional. Next day, got more regional. And then, I guess I buried the lead. This is Hobocop main event fight week going to be coming up. So,
and Jared Cannonier. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So, yeah, big week for the podcast. We'll be in the Discord chatting it all up when we're not recording episodes, even when we're recording. We're at sportsgamblingpodcast.com/Discord. We're on YouTube. Maybe you're watching us now. If you are, make sure you are subscribed. You can hit us up in the comments. MMA Gambling Podcast is the place to find us. Or how to make cocaine or some kind of grandma thing we got too. So
yeah, we were tagged in a lot of grandma posts.
A lot of weird searches back in the day. What else can you do? You can hit us up on Twitter. Speaking of weird things, SGPN MMA. He's at Gumby Vreeland. I'm at Jeff Fox Writer there and on Instagram. You can check out my Substack, enter my free pick'em contest. Check out all my writing at moneymma.substack.com. You can check out Gumby's other podcast, Top Turtle MMA Podcast. Always a fun listen and informative. Do you know who's on this week, or are we too early in the process?
Yeah, we got a pair of fighters from this weekend's UFC Vegas 102. We got Connor Matthews and Vince Morales.
Perfect. So Vince Morales is always fun. Was it a fun interview again?
Yeah, he's always a good time. I mean, Connor Matthews is a good time too. He trains in his mom's basement.
Oh, there you go. What more of a hook do you need than that? So make sure you check that out. And of course, we're at sportsgamblingpodcast.com, sportsgamblingpodcast.com/store. Try Big Game as your code. You'll probably get a discount. sportsgamblingpodcast.com/Patreon to get bonus content. And remember, Underdog Fantasy, your sign-up code is MMA SGPN. It helps us out greatly, and it will help you out as well. Be back tomorrow. Fine, people. We'll do one championship, okay? A small handful of you are always begging for it. Fine. Well, we're going to cover one. We're going to cover not every. Actually, it was going to be every MMA fight, but they added a bunch more MMA fights. So we're going to cover at least 6 MMA fights for one championship tomorrow for you. We're going to be a week ahead because this weekend is pretty much Aries is the only big regional promotion running this weekend.
Yeah, so. Well, you don't usually like to do levels fight league, but we could have done levels.
Yeah, this way you don't worry. Gumby mapped it all out in advance, so you're going to get lots of regional coverage. So yeah, we'll get you a week in advance for one. In the meantime, Le Chat, Jeff Fox bids you farewell, as does Lightning Vreeland. We'll talk to you tomorrow. But Dimitri.